Very much, and good morning, everybody. Thank you. So the topic of my presentation is on the screen. I'll proceed forward. With the introduction part, I would like to put emphasis on recent times, which have seen phenomenal growth in the herbal market. 1994 estimate put the total sales of herbal preparation at around 655 million, but the global herbal market in 2003, it was estimated at $60 billion. And based on a WHO projection, global herbal market will grow to 5 trillion mark by the year 2050. I was just looking into the IMS data only a couple of days ago, and IMS said at the end of year 2013 data, the world total pharmaceutical market will reach the 3 trillion mark. And here is global market by 2050 reaching the 5 trillion mark. So what is behind the surge in the use of herbal remedies? In recent times, the sales have grown phenomenally all over the world, in particular in the United States and Europe. There are various reasons given by various researchers. For example, the pervading sense of skepticism about modern medicine within the society. Most people belonging to the yuppie generation, the modish young, they feel modern medicine doesn't serve the purpose. They are looking into the roots of the products when they were used centuries ago, and they think that should continue to be used. Some believe that conventional medicine are unnatural and feel that natural substances help the body build on its own resistance. There may be a point. And many consumers are motivated to try herbal remedies through a misconception that these are inherently safe. We will explore this point when we reach to the safety level of the presentation. Another probable factor involves the influence of the expanding cultural diversity within the North American population, with different cultural groups practicing different customs involving traditional medicine. For example, when I went to Canada some 40 years ago, the population of the city of Toronto was basically white, almost white. Browns and blacks, they were hardly to be seen. But now has come a time that you see tremendous amount of Chinese people, tremendous amount of South Asian people, tremendous amount of Arabian people in Canada. So the cultural diversity is changing, the scenario, and because of this change, people are bringing their cultural roots in terms of usage of medicine as well. So that's one of the reasons why herbals are on the growth. And according to JAMA, the Journal of American Medical Association, 1 in 5 individuals taking prescription medications also take herbal remedies as supplements. So the big question arises, are these herbals really effective? Well, at least the history seems to tell us, yeah. If we look back into the history, Egyptian medicine, it's almost 3,000 years old. Traditional Chinese medicine has its roots in 2900 BC, and it is to date very active. Ayurvedic medicine around 800 years old, and it's again very active in India. Almost 80% of the Indian population, according to my information, uses Ayurvedic medication and serviced by Ayurvedic doctors. Greek medicine, 500 BC, And as Unani, which is the term for Greek in Arabic, Unani means Greek. It is active in South Asia and to date. Ancient Mesopotamia, 300 BC. Apart from Mesopotamia, Aztec, Mayan, and Inca medicines, they all have herbal usage. Let us focus on efficacy. Around 25% of modern medicines made from plants used traditionally. Some examples are willow bark, from which aspirin has been derived, foxglove, from which digitalis has been extracted, angel's trumpets, from which scopolamine, and deadly nightshade, from which belladonna, cinchona is the source of quinine derivative, moldy clover, dicumarol and coumarin compounds, which are used as blood thinners, and the list goes on. Looking at the efficacy, one of the herbal's major contribution towards the evolution of surgical anesthesia, which has three components: anesthesia, analgesia, and amnesia. Patient undergoing surgery, he should be amnesic, meaning he should forget after he awakes what happened to him. And he should get good level of pain control. At the same time, he should be anesthetized so that he doesn't feel the trouble of the pain of the operative procedure itself. So one of the major contributions is towards the evolution of surgical anesthesia in poppy as opiates for pain management and karari for muscle relaxation. And based on the IMS top-line industry data, narcotic analgesics, which are opiate derivatives, they ranked among the top 15 global therapeutic classes with 2010 sales based on IMS actual figures equaling $12 billion. So it's a lot of contribution that the herbals are making to modern medicine. The discovery of a species of trillium, which is Mexican yam, as the cheap and abundant source of steroid synthesis, created the hormonal contraception revolution. The story goes, a young man by the name Russell E. Marker, he used to work for Rockefeller Institute in 1928, and he worked there for almost 7 years. Then he moved to Pennsylvania University in the teaching job and also research job, where he started focusing on cheap source of production of progesterone. Because at that time, progesterone was derived from the ovaries of the pregnant pigs, and it took 2,500 ovaries of the pregnant pigs to yield 1 milligram of progesterone. So it was only available to the top rich. So he thought, okay, let me discover some source where we can find a cheaper method of synthesis of progesterone. He heard that in Mexico, Mexican women, when they have menstrual pain, they chew one of the roots, which is called the root of the Mexican yam. So he went to Mexico, collected a lot of root, came back to Pennsylvania, and in his lab, he degraded the diazoxanide component of the root, which is the hormonal component, into progesterone. So he produced 25 pounds of progesterone. Forget about 1 milligram from 2,500 ovaries. He produced 25 pounds. Then he goes to pharmaceutical labs with his remarkable discovery, and he says, are you prepared to purchase it? Everybody said, no, what is the use of the progesterone? He formed a company by the name Synergex in Mexico, and he started synthesizing hormones from the Mexican yam root. So that's how the hormones became cheap. Now, other drugs which have been efficacious from the therapeutic classes of herbals are paclitaxel, which is derived from the bark of the Pacific yew tree and was approved in 1994 as a treatment for breast cancer. 2 years after its approval for ovarian cancer as well. So it is being used both for the treatment of breast cancer and ovarian cancer. The drug inhibits tumor growth and is also widely used for a variety of cancers as well. The next discovery of modern times among the herbals is the new class of anti-malarial drugs. These are developed from the plant called Artemisia annua, which has been used in China for almost 2,000 years for the management of malaria as well as fever. But now, by synthesizing artemisinin from Artemisia annua, we are able to treat resistant malaria, because malaria has become resistant to almost all the available drugs. So this is the new drug which is working. That's a great contribution from the herbal class. And if we review the national pharmacopoeias of the globe, we find that at least 120 distinct chemical substances from different plants have utility as life-saving drugs. And this has been a result of chemical and pharmacological screening of a mere 6% of the herbal components, plant species. So only 6%. There is still 94% left to be explored. Who knows what we are going to discover? But the fact remains that very few of the commercially available herbal remedies have been subjected to stringent clinical scrutiny. It's only a practice inherited from the teacher to the student, to the student, and to the student. Just word of mouth. Some books are there as well, but without any scientific basis. Trial and error methods used over the centuries have resulted in a customary use of plant derivative medicine. Therefore, establishing the efficacy of thousands of commercially available herbal products through controlled studies is going to be a monumental and perhaps impossible task, which is the fact of life. This is interesting. The Journal of American Medical Association back in 1955, they published a research article which went to state, when it is considered that placebo preparations administered to humans will produce a desirable therapeutic effect in approximately 30 to 35% of the subjects. So if you are giving to 100 individuals with a disease state, 30 or 35% receiving placebo with no action at all will get the benefit. One might suggest that therapeutic effect would be achieved through use of medicinal plants, whether or not they do contain biologically active constituents. The journal Herbalgram, which is the journal of the American Botanical Council, once commented, it's not possible to establish absolute safety for medicinal plants based solely on epidemiological studies for a variety of reasons. They went on to say, first, these type of studies would be costly. Second, little published data exists in countries where the major use of medicinal plants occurs, and thus general extrapolation based on a limited number of reports would have little meaning. Third, exact identification of products implicated in side effects claimed for medicinal plant is most often lacking. Well, this is not only true for medicinal plants, this is true for most of the drug products in underdeveloping countries where there is very little pharmacovigilance going on, therefore very little collection of accurate data. The WHO therefore published its research guidelines for evaluating the safety and efficacy of herbal medicine in 1993. They made a clear statement that the historical use of an herbal substance is valid proof of its safety unless there is scientific evidence of danger. They also said a guiding principle should be that if the product has been traditionally used without demonstrated harm, no specific regulatory action should be undertaken unless new evidence demands a revised risk-benefit assessment. Although WHO made that statement, but there are some aspects of safety that do need to be addressed. For example, the possibility of herb-drug interaction, effect on clinical laboratory results, and third is adulteration and contamination. These three issues have popped up significantly in the Western world, in particular in the United States and Europe, and Canada, of course. If we look at the herb-drug interactions, 20% of individuals who are taking herbals, they never tell their doctor because they think herbals are innocent substances, so there is no point in bringing this information to the knowledge of the doctor. And approximately half of those using herbal medicine do not tell their physicians as well. This, of course, opens the possibility of herb-drug interaction. For example, the Lancet, one of the renowned medical journals of UK, they published a study in 2000 describing the herb-drug interactions. For example, bleeding with warfarin if combined with ginkgo, garlic, danquol, or dancing. Mild serotonin syndrome, decreased bioavailability, induction of mania, exacerbation of extrapyramidal effects, increased risk of hypertension, potentiation of oral and topical corticosteroids, decreased blood concentration of prednisolone, and decreased concentration of phenytoin. These are the side effects which do occur when herbs are combined with allopathic medications. Unfortunately, this slide, it has gone blank. This was showing the herbal products to avoid in patients with cardiovascular diseases. But on the following slide, I have done the summary. In fact, two major side effects occur when herbals are combined with cardiovascular products. One is bleeding, and bleeding is caused by a number of herbal preparations like alfalfa, bilberry, danchin, danquol, fenugreek, garlic, our food product, ginkgo biloba, ginseng, and the list goes on. On the right-hand side, I have those products which have the potential to cause arrhythmias, either ventricular most often, and those are aloe vera, blah, 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 the list goes on. So these are major side effects, arrhythmias and bleeding. Of course, they could be life-challenging. On the clinical laboratory test side, when a patient is taking medication, allopathic medication, at the same time is taking herbal supplements, the blood picture changes significantly based on the studies done. So it is important to inform by the clinician to the person who is performing the test, clinical test, that my patient is taking such and such medication, plus my patient is also taking such and such herbal products. Otherwise, the test results will be totally screwed up. The second part is quality. So question arises, what about quality? Although herbals have been used for numerous centuries, but the state of herbal preparation is such that quantity and quality rarely meet the label claim. For example, the quantity of active chemical can be extremely variable. A good example is ginsenoside in ginseng, where the label claim is made 648 milligram. There could be 10 times variability in the products which are on the market. So it could be 6,480 to only 64 milligram, that much variability. Presence of heavy metals such as lead, mercury, cadmium, arsenic, copper, and thallium in traditional Chinese medicine has been documented. Traditional Chinese medicine also has a number of other products, pharmaceutical agents, which are incorporated in the traditional medicine simply to boost up the results, therapeutic results. But some of them could be dangerous if combined with other substances that the patient is taking. So, for example, the new classes of erectile dysfunction products, sildenafil, tadalafil, and vardenafil, these have been found to be present in traditional Chinese medicine in a quantity of 30 to 19 milligram per tablet. Although these TCMs, traditional Chinese medicine, they are marketed as innocent product, but they could have a devastating effect if the patient is also taking nitrates, for example, because nitrates, they significantly lower the blood pressure, sometimes causing a massive drop, and the patient may collapse and die. Heavy metals, these are, of course, deliberate constituents in the Indian remedies, traditional remedies like Ayurvedic. And although the modern medicine has been condemning it because of the very detrimental side effects of heavy metals, but the Indian scholars, to the best of my knowledge, they still continue to defend their field, saying that they should remain part of the Ayurvedic medication. Heavy metals, not only in Ayurvedic, but they have been historically also part of the allopathic medications. For example, arsenic, antimony, bismuth, silver, gold, and mercury, these have been combined in various preparations. Arsenicals and mercurials and gold compounds, they have been available until the late 20th century. In fact, gold is still used for resistant rheumatoid arthritis, and mercurials are still used for topical antisepsis purpose. There's an interesting story about antimony. Antimony was widely used during the 15th and 16th centuries until the Faculty of Physicians of Paris decreed that no member should use or prescribe antimony. So in effect, they said it is a banned drug now. But in 1657, King Louis XVI of France, he fell ill. He had royal physicians who were treating him, but the condition would not improve. Then a quack came forward and I said I would like to have the permission of treating the...
The first thing when somebody goes in, it's like ice.
Okay. How do I get rid of this? Anyway, I'll tell the story and go to the next slide. So the quack said, can I have the permission to treat the king? The permission was granted, and he used the antimony compound. And luckily, the king got completely cured. After the king got cured, can somebody help me here? Okay, thank you. Yeah, thank you. After the king got cured, that was sufficient reason to ensure that the drug had enviable position in therapeutics until the 19th century. So 200 more years of life antimony got because of the usage on King Louis XVI. But again, after 200 years, it fell into disrepute. Yeah, it's okay. All right. I'm coming to the concluding part of the presentation. Medicinal properties of heavy metals are not debatable. They have a place in medicine, definitely, because they have been used for centuries altogether. But their toxicity is also a recognized fact. So the toxicity part, this was not given any heed in the past. This is a new breed of side effects which have come into picture and has served as a very alarming state of affairs in the modern medical practice, in particular in the Western world. We know that based on current science, risks from their use outweigh the benefit. That's a fact. There are benefits, but the risks are potential, and those could be lethal. So there is good reason to abandon the usage of heavy metals in the drug formulations, to my mind, and to the mind of most of the Western scientists. The Asian-based systems of traditional medicine needs to accept this truth and modify the questionable formulations for health as well as for successful global marketing reasons. This is more important. A number of years ago, I came to India and I brought a Drug Information Association, DIA conference to Hyderabad. And there, I made the industry aware that they are losing a big chunk of the market by simply not being present in the United States or Canada, where the return on investment is tremendously greater for them, not for the industry in United States or Canada, because they pay to the workers proportionately heavy sums. But here, the labor was cheap, cost of production was cheap, India was abundant in raw material, so they had no trouble producing cheap raw material, and if they produce the products here and marketed in the United States at US price and Canadian price, their profit margin was going to blow up astronomically. Some of the good companies, they paid heed, they got approved by the US FDA and Canadian Food and Drug Agency, and their products are loaded in the market now. And to my surprise, when I was going through the IMS data, I found some of the Indian companies like Lupin. Last year's sales were more than $3 billion. At one time, this was the total sales of the entire Indian pharmaceutical industry, or even less. But picture has changed. Dr. Reddy, all over the world now. Sun Pharmaceuticals, they're all thriving. So on the herbal side, if we could focus on modifying the formulations, because as long as lead, bismuth, antimony, etc. is present in the preparation, if the FDA or Health Canada analyze the product and find it, they say, we can't accept this product. We won't allow the entry into the market. So they are going to lose a big market now. So it is in the best interest of the producers here to try to get rid of the heavy metal part out of their formulations and come up with new formulations and expand the market over there. And the good news is, just 8 or 9 months ago, FDA has approved 2 herbal preparations to be marketed in the United States. FDA has approved. So a submission was made, and the submission went through successfully, and the products are now officially approved by the Food and Drug Administration in the United States. So we can have every product approved that way. As a concluding thought, simply put, priority should be to transform the traditional Chinese medicine as well as the Ayurvedic and herbal medicine, Unani medicine, from an experience-based, that is what the basis is of those systems, to a evidence-based, which means we do research and we submit data to the regulatory agencies proving that these products are safe, effective, and marketable. Evidence-based medicine through innovation and differentiation. And that, I feel, should be the priority of the day. So with that, I conclude my preparation. Thank you for your attention, and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Mohammed. I kindly request Dr. Shinubabu Gadela to please felicitate you with the certificate. Thank you for such a wonderful presentation. Please give them a big round of applause. Now watch the live streaming of International Conference on Traditional and Alternative Medicine on www.youtube.com/omicsinternational. Thank you for the keynote forum.